let's start with some trends. I go to South by Southwest pretty much every year for the last 8 or maybe 9 years. And I love to look at trends from different perspectives. Today, as we engage with so many change and disruption, we should try to see what's the perspective of folks that are focusing on the consumer, on technology, and also on user-centered design. And today, they are going to be macro trends specifically. So let's talk about consumer trends. These come from WGSN and Facebook. And what is a consumer trend? It's when a brand gets things exactly right at the right time. And we are going to talk about 5 different trends, and we're going to go right into it. First one, the new majorities are the old minorities. So Muslim millennials are going to be a quarter of the world's population by 2050. And what that means is that their buying power is going to be quite important for businesses all over the world. We need to think about how we are engaging with our young minority communities. We are seeing that geo and demographic lines are getting blurred. Can you hear me well? I feel that there's an echo. So, okay. 360 million take part in cross-border e-commerce. Traditional gender roles no longer apply. We are seeing the blurring of gender identity, 15% growth year on year. The rise of omniculture, sorry, I'm hearing myself, there's an echo, so apologies for that. Omniculture identities, the age, we are getting old, is increasing, and sex doesn't sell. It's time's up for representing women as sex objects. 5G is here to stay, and by 2020, 50% of online sales are going to come from m-commerce, mobile commerce, and 85% of all consumer interactions are going to be held with no human interface. The sharing economy is absolutely here to stay, and we are going to see it grow specifically in developing nations. Sometimes we question mark on the sharing part of the economy, but it's certainly going to have significant long-term effects on government regulation, civic planning, and the future of work. And there's a new language, is the language of photos and videos and this live engagement. Instagram is increasing 80% year on year. That's quite significant. And we are seeing also new consumer tribes emerging. They have quite complicated names, so bear with me. The imperfectionists and the localtivists. People that care deeply about sustainability and community. People that want to live locally and buy locally. It's no longer about collectivism. It's about the active local activism. They tend to distrust larger institutions. They don't care so much about trends. And when it comes to what they want from a brand, they value context and action more than content or storytelling. It's about what the brand represents and how good are they at living what they are communicating. They're not about discount. It's really about aligning with something that they care about, and they are cryptocurrency adopters. We also have our augmentalists. They celebrate technology progress. They like this mix of artificial intelligence and the amplification of human intelligence, and they are absolutely part of the augmented workforce. It's absolutely a pleasure every year to go and watch the trends from Fjord at South by Southwest. They are usually presented by a lady called Tanara Schneider. She's their managing director in Chicago, and she does a fantastic job at articulating what designers are seeing all over the world. Her message this year is design outside the lines, that there's a new obligation and a new opportunity for companies to engage differently. At the same time she was presenting this, at South by, they were showcasing the building of a home using 3D printed technology that is much more cost effective and can solve really housing, people that don't have access to housing now have a way to buy it and to access it. So really interesting. And here we go about how we can use technology that is human-centered to design outside the lines. Let's go a little deeper on these topics. Physical fights back. We heard that Amazon bought Whole Foods. They are back with physical bookstores. And we are seeing more and more that even toys and objects, people want to engage in a very human way. So technology is disappearing in the background. It's becoming invisible. It's there, but we don't see it. We want to engage in our own terms. Computers have eyes. We'll be speaking a lot about some of these topics. Of course, we are using this technology more and more in our businesses. When we do it, are we, what are the privacy concerns that we need to have? Are we violating someone's privacy? Slaves of the algorithm. There's going to be a lot today about Facebook and privacy. Who watches the Watchmen as companies move from a product or a service-centered business model to a data business model? A machine in search for meaning. We are seeing the emergence of robots, machines, that, for example, are now babysitters. And if we are using machines to replace humans, is that the right approach? Is that a human-centered design approach? Can we use technology to amplify what we do and who we are and our potential? It's definitely something to consider when we talk about this human-centered design. And blockchain, interestingly enough, is coming across as the foundational platform that has the potential to become a trust engine, a transparency agent. And we'll talk a little bit about that today, too. The ethics economy, we are seeing a lot of companies come in and express ethics. The question is, are they truthful and authentic in the way that they are engaging? Can we ensure that everything we do creates a trust relationship with our customers? Key technology trends, these come from Amy Webb at the Future Today Institute. The key topic that came out of South by Southwest specifically is no interfaces. So we now want to engage in just human-like transactions. And part of that journey is that we are going to start to see the beginning of the end of smartphones. Now that we have voice and vision and computer-to-brain interfaces, the devices that we hold in our hands will start disappearing. Why so? Because digital assistants are here to stay, and they will become ever-present in our lives, because machines are getting better at reading and at translating. And as you know, over the last few weeks, we are seeing the Google Assistant talk to people, call people like they are human in very human terms. Voice print, some information that you may find interesting. The use of your voice not only identifies who you are, but also your health, your age, your emotional state, but also the size of the room that you are in, the material of the walls, and how many people are in the room. Pretty scary, huh? As we have these devices all over our homes these days. And face print, pretty much here to stay. Some of these platforms are now used and developed by, 300,000 developers from all over the world across 150 countries, by governments and businesses. And as you know, it faces between sentiment analysis, racial profiling. We need to be careful on how we are using these data sets, but they are becoming more and more important and a reality for us. And one that I particularly appreciate because it speaks to the amplification of us humans is the wired brains, the computer-to-brain interface, mostly because it allows us to engage in our own terms, but also for those that might have lost a limb or etc., it allows them to engage in a natural way with a robot hand, for example. So I like this one quite a lot. Other tech trends, very quickly, AI is the next era of computing, cryptocurrency for everyone, the end of net neutrality that we are seeing emerge all over the world, and what the implications of that, and augmented reality everywhere.